Saturn has stationed retrograde in Pisces on June 17th. Now it's Neptune's turn. The planet of dreams, ideals, illusions, and delusions will turn backwards on Friday, June 30th, offering us a chance to look within and to clear our inner spiritual space from escapist tendencies, self-defeating behaviors, and any fears. The retrograde will last until December 6th, and I am here to tell you everything you need to know. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. It helps YouTube promote my videos, helps show them to more people, makes me feel appreciated. So always thank you for doing that. And if you'd like to work with me, check out the link down below. You can book a reading with me either down there or at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Additionally, we are in a very kind of retrograde time with Venus about to go retrograde in July. Mercury is going to go retrograde a month after that. And here in this video, I'm talking specifically about Neptune retrograding in Pisces. So I highly recommend checking out my Jupiter in Pisces creations, candles or oils, or my Moonlit Trinity creations, because these can help alleviate some of the stress of the retrogrades. And Jupiter in Pisces is especially good if you are a Pisces or you have strong Pisces placements, because you've been getting beat up by Saturn and maybe felt a little bit restricted and stuck. I'm almost sold out of these candles. I only have 2 left, but they're still oils. So check out Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter will not be back in Pisces until 2033. So it's very unique and special. So we have Saturn retrograding in Pisces already, like I mentioned. Saturn retrograde began between June 17th, started on June 17th, will last until November 4th. And Neptune retrograde lasts from June 30th until December 6th. So quite a long chunk of time, June, July, August, September, October, while Saturn and Neptune are both retrograding in Pisces. And I did a video about Saturn retrograde, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But Saturn retrograde in Pisces is very spiritual, it's very internal, it's both about our imagination and how we work with our imagination, but also about our mental health and what kind of tools we use and how we take care of ourselves. So Neptune retrograde will have some similar energies because it's happening in Pisces, but Neptune by nature is quite different from Saturn. So before we talk about the detail of Neptune, I want to give you the degrees that will be important here. So Neptune moves backwards from 27 degrees 41 minutes of Pisces into 24 degrees 53 minutes. So you will feel this especially strongly if you have planets between 24 and 28 degrees Pisces, but also other mutable signs. So Virgo, Gemini, and Sag, 24 to 28 degrees. Basically, if you have planets in those signs, Neptune will either be conjoining, opposing, or squaring your planets, and those aspects tend to be more significant and potentially more confusing. That's kind of a keyword connected to Neptune. In general, Neptune retrograde is more subtle than Mercury retrograde or Venus retrograde or even Mars retrograde. We have outer planets actually starting with Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. They tend to retrograde for 4.5 months out of every year. So it's a kind of regular motion, regular part of the motion of the planet. So it's less dramatic than, let's say, Mars that goes retrograde once every 2 years, or Venus that goes retrograde every 18 months. Because it's a transpersonal planet, it's invisible planet, the questions brought up by Neptune retrograde tend to be more invisible, right? It's a lot of stuff that we do, but we don't realize a lot of times. So kind of negative things you say sometimes could be the domain of Neptune. Just a statement somebody might make saying that you need connections to succeed, right? Like when you say it, you put it out in the universe. So with Neptune retrograding, you may get a chance to examine those matters. But in general, Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's the planet of unity, of connection. Makes us feel that everything is interconnected. We are all one. We're all part of the grand ocean represented by Neptune. It represents dreams. It represents illusions. And together with that, it represents delusions, right? It's everything sort of starts with a dream, but if dreams are not grounded, they become delusions. If you're not doing anything, you know, like maybe you're pursuing things that are not realistic. So Neptune retrograde can definitely be a period of addressing that. And Neptune can, with that idea of like everything is interconnected, it's all something, it can definitely take you in the wrong direction. Sometimes it can definitely create a sense of like, what's the point of trying, right? Or what's the point of standing up? Like, you shouldn't stand up, you shouldn't separate yourself from the world, you should, it's both dreams, but it, like hand in hand with Neptune goes an idea of like escaping or victimhood, or just sort of, I don't want to say lazy, but kind of going with the flow too much to a point that you don't stand up for yourself when you need to. You don't express your feelings. You don't express any passions. Of course, in a healthy manifestation, Neptune can inspire you. So when Neptune is direct, we tend to be more clear with what we're pursuing. Our dreams are more straightforward. When Neptune is retrograding, it's more about internal growth and internal work. And retrograde is always the time when things start to fall apart a little bit, when things start to, you know, you're going within, you're examining yourself instead of examining outside goals and horizons. Here you're totally looking at yourself, and maybe you're asking what's tangible, like I said, or you're asking what's standing in your way, what kind of behaviors you have that are sabotaging you. So a lot of times Neptune retrograde will get rid of any clutter, any kind of fake decor, right? Any not substantial stuff that you're using to cover up things. It can show you what's real, what's not, right? It's almost like you're waking up from a dream, and in the dream everything felt real, but then Neptune retrograde could be that between worlds stage where you're like waking up and things don't feel quite clear, but slowly you realize what's important and what's not. So it could be the time to face the truth and, you know, kind of see things more honestly. Maybe you've been involved with someone whom you've idealized and you thought they are your dream person, but suddenly you experience this like aha moment of like, they're married and they've been telling you they're going to leave their partner for 10 years and they're not doing anything. So you're like, how could I have been allowing the situation to go for such a long time? Or you have a bad habit, like maybe you drink a bit much and you've been ignoring the fact that a bit much has been growing and growing. So Neptune retrograde could be the time where you become more honest. Or your finances, or your career, or your living situation. Anything that is important to you can become even more highlighted at this time. Like I said, it could be a great time to revisit your dreams and ask what's important, what's not, what's tangible, what's not. When the planets move direct, we just follow along a lot of times. And when they move backwards, when they retrograde, things that we've been following along with can lose their appeal a little bit. So we talk about retrograde being the period of lacking inspiration, lacking motivation, but it's very much a period of getting in touch with what is truly important. So Neptune retrograde could be a sign of you getting, perhaps even releasing some dreams and, you know, letting go of some, but bringing in the new ones potentially. addressing negative tendencies, addressing victimhood behavior, self-pity, depression, mental health issues could be a great way to deal with this transit, to how to address this transit, because Pisces is a sign that sometimes overdoes the escapist tendencies, right? And maybe directing your escape towards creative or spiritual matters, because this transit could be really lovely for therapy, for astrology, spirituality, tarot, crystals, herbs, anything that can help you take better care of yourself. So definitely being more clear, definitely analyzing what's important to you. Take a look back at the last year. We had Neptune retrograde at about the same period of time. It started in mid-June, it lasted until early December. Have you kicked a bad habit? Have you said goodbye to someone even in your life, or something that wasn't helping you, was holding you back? Or have you discovered some kind of spiritual hobby? Funny enough, I started creating candles when Neptune was retrograding in Pisces, and it's my 6th house, so I took some of the spiritual energy, some of the astrological energy, and turned it into a tangible project. So hopefully we can all manifest something exciting at this time. So some of the dates to pay attention to: August 22nd, Mars will oppose Neptune. So Mars is action. Neptune, like I said, has this tendency to wash things away or inspire things, right? So it could either be Mars opposite Neptune, kind of over zealotry. Is it zealotry is the right word? You're like overly enthusiastic about something, but perhaps misguided, right? Or you're contradicting, or you're like at odds with a power that is religious. Could also be the time when you're less clear about how to pursue, because Mars wants to go, it sees Neptune. Neptune is like, what's the point, right? So it feels like ambiguous, it feels uncertain. It's a great time to be more strategic and perhaps stay in the territory you have already conquered versus trying to conquer new territory. Similar energy on September 19th when the Sun opposes Neptune. That is always a middle part of the retrograde, when planets oppose the Sun, or with Mercury when Mercury conjoins the Sun. But here it's like the midpoint. And when the Sun is in this contentious relationship with Neptune, Neptune is asking the Sun which ones of your ideals are real, or which ones of them are smoke and shadows. I feel like I'm using a lot of analogies today that I'm not 100% sure of. Hopefully it's all coming across great. Smoke and mirrors is probably the proper way of saying it. Yeah, so Sun opposition Neptune, similar, August 22nd, September 19th, could both feel confusing, uncertain. Our material goals could be having less control over us, versus spiritual, imaginative, creative pursuits will be more exciting. October 2nd, November 27th, Mercury makes tough aspects with Neptune, so your mind is less clear, and it would be best to not make any important decisions at that time. And finally, November 3rd, we have Venus opposing Neptune, which will make relationship topics less clear. So a lot of more challenging energy, right? Overall, it's a longer period of time, and I would encourage you to lean into self-understanding, into therapy, into spirituality in order to help you get through it. So let's take a look at the 12 rising signs and give you some keywords, some things to think about. And please do let me know about last year, what was happening in your life when Neptune was retrograding last year. So if you are an Aries rising, Neptune goes retrograde in your 12th house. And 12th house is very Neptunian in some regards. According to modern astrology, Neptune rules the 12th house. I'm a traditional astrologer, Hellenistic astrologer, so I don't really subscribe underneath that, but there is a bit of overlap for sure. So 12th house is the place of self-undoing. It's the place of addictions, escapist tendencies, shadow work, things that fall through the cracks. It's the blind spot. So when Neptune is retrograding here, you're actually examining your blind spot, examining on your blinds, meditating. Yeah, I think I said it right the first time. You're examining your blind spot. So meditating on what's not serving you, meditating on what is unhealthy. This could be the time when topics of addiction become more important in your life, perhaps through a sibling or a family member, or somebody in your life who is struggling with it, or maybe it's you who's struggling with it, and perhaps there's opportunities to change the dynamic and do things differently, right? It could also be a chance to address the more spiritual side of yourself and bring forth any interests or hobbies that you are very curious about, but you're not giving them enough attention. And also progress in therapy I could see happening here, as well as maybe doing work or choosing to do the work that helps others. This could be a great way of dealing with this transit, would be volunteering or helping other people somehow as much as you can, especially people with addictions. If you're someone who's struggling with it, or if you have a family member who's struggling with it and you are entangled in the unhealthy dynamic between the two of you, you can address the karma of Neptune by stepping outside of your personal situation and helping people who are dealing with it outside of yourself, right? By addressing that through them, you can then in turn improve your situation. If you are a Taurus rising, Neptune will retrograde in your 11th house, asking you to take a close look at your friendships, at your networks, and your social involvements. So Neptune retrograde will be the time when either some of your dreams will feel less than, maybe you feel like you're not as aligned with a hobby or social media page, or even a project you've been pursuing can feel somewhat extra challenging, or like there's no progress. And I would encourage you to think of either upgrading this project to be more relatable to the community, to be more helpful to the community, or perhaps wondering whether this project is meant to stay or maybe it's not. It could also be, this period could be very important for your friendships, where you start to question whether relationships and dynamics you're in are fulfilling, whether people in your life are supportive of you, whether they see you for who you are or they see you for who they want you to be. Any kind of dynamics where you give more than you receive may need to be addressed and examined and perhaps balanced better. And let me know what happened in your friendships and networks and kind of social dynamics last year between June and early December when Neptune was retrograding in Pisces last time. If you are a Gemini rising, Neptune begins its retrograde in your 10th house, which is the place of career, status, social standing, and reputation. And like I said in the intro to this video, Neptune retrograde could be the time when you're facing the truth about your career, maybe addressing some negative behaviors that either they're yours or your boss's. Perhaps you're working at a very toxic environment and you feel the urge to actually discuss it or to make some kind of changes, right? It could be a lovely period to meditate on what you want to achieve, on what's important to you, and take a step back as much as your situation allows. Because Neptune wants to do work that is authentic, that is spiritual, that feels like a calling versus just a job. And if it's not, if you don't work, if you're retired, for example, maybe it's about doing projects that are interesting to you, kind of getting more involved with the community, getting a chance to shine and express yourself through your connections, right? So any work uncertainty will potentially get resolved with time, and the more you're willing to explore the spiritual domain, or the more you're willing to explore the tap into imagination, the better your work life will become. If you are a Cancer rising, Neptune goes retrograde in your 9th house, and 9th house is very much about education, travel, legal matters, spirituality, writing and publishing. So Neptune retrograde could be the time when, first of all, you're going through a review of your beliefs and maybe looking at them through a more analytical lens, where you're asking whether some of your beliefs are yours or whether some of them are just inherited ones and they don't represent who you are. An example would be feeling like you are supposed to, I mean, like maybe your parents believe that you're supposed to be a lawyer or a doctor, right? They think these are the only two successful careers, and you realize that success to you have always felt more about being happy or being joyful or working with other people, and you don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. So it could be a great time, if you feel like you don't know which direction to go in, to maybe look back at things that always made you happy and prioritize those things, and maybe examine the beliefs you have that are self-destructive, that are more defeating, that are holding you back somehow, and perhaps let those go. And let me know how this retrograde went last year between June and December 2022, when Neptune was retrograde, the time before this one. If you are a Leo rising, Neptune is going retrograde in your 8th house, which is the place of debts, taxes, dependencies on other people, kind of karma and healing, but also any resources you share with others. So this is quite significant, especially since Saturn is retrograding here. I think you are in a place of deep transformation, in a place of deep kind of insights and understanding. And here you're looking at your dynamics with other people, at your give and take, whether there's honesty, whether there's full clarity and understanding. You're looking at your finances, but a lot of times financial issues or financial dynamics stem from perhaps not having the best relationship with yourself, or not the best relationship with people in your life. An example would be buying lunch for your boyfriend all the time because you feel guilty to say that you don't have money, and then you end up being more in debt. That's just on the fly example, but like needing to address fears and anxieties over money. And I think, to me, this is very much about internal beliefs, about inner self-worth, about your own relationship with yourself, and then that could transpire into better relationships with other people. Needing to review boundaries, needing to examine self-defeating tendencies when it comes to other people and their resources, and allowing them dictate your relationship with money could be very important here. And like I said, 8th house is also the place of like healing and transformation. So you may also get an opportunity to transform a part of yourself and release a part of yourself. If you are a Virgo rising, Neptune is retrograding in your 7th house, which is the place of relationships and business partnerships. And here you're very much getting a chance to look at your ideals of a relationship, at your dreams, right? And your kind of naivete in some regard. And nothing's wrong with naivete, but you're getting kind of more clarity, right? You're seeing through the maze or through the illusion and seeing things for what they are. And it could be beautiful, because you can sort of see your partner for who they are and understand that you love them no matter what. You see the truth, you know they're flawed, but you're willing to work on a relationship. Yet if the partner is very flawed to a point that it's destructive, some relationships may fall apart, or some relationships may need to be released, and perhaps so they can free space for something better. But it would depend a lot on the foundation of a relationship, on the strength of a relationship. And 7th house represents business partnerships as well. So this could be a time to get more clear about your aspirations and your professional goals. Watch out for exes coming back into your life, because retrogrades in the 7th house can definitely be the time of like looking back at old relationships and idealizing them. Instead, try to learn from them, right? If you are a Libra rising, Neptune is going to retrograde in your 6th house. And on some level, this could actually be the time when you take a break. Maybe you decide that the hustle and the bustle of things is not that enjoyable, so you choose to pause and you choose to retreat. I'm going on vacation, so I'm super excited about that as a Libra rising. So taking things easy, kind of trying to find better balance in terms of prioritizing rest could be significant here. Professionally, some projects may dissolve, or some projects may feel like they're just taking up your time and they're not feeding your heart. So if you've been feeling overworked, if you've been kind of operating under false pretenses that your self-worth is dependent on your productivity, how familiar that is to me, it might be the time to rethink those beliefs and accept the fact that you are a beautiful butterfly no matter how much you work, right? Every beautiful butterfly, say hi in the comments below. So this is, like I said, self-defeating tendencies in terms of working yourself too much, serving other people, sacrificing your needs for others. Maybe there's also bad health habits, like, unsupportive health habits that you need to address. And using this time to get better about your boundaries when it comes to work. Get better when it comes to your boundaries, your sleeping, right? Your diet, your exercise routine. Something for me last year was realizing that I need to be better about checking Instagram. It's a work in progress, but it definitely was part of that Neptune retrograde cycle. Have you made any kind of like healthy choices for yourself last year between June and December when Neptune was retrograde last time? Let me know. If you are a Scorpio rising, Neptune will go retrograde in your 5th house between June 30th and December 6th. And on some level, 5th house being the place of fun, Neptune retrograding here could be the time when you look at fun and wonder whether some fun is too much fun or whether you're not having enough fun. So kind of the dynamics of partying too hard versus not partying enough or not partying at all would be important right now, and needing to let go of some unhealthy tendencies and welcome some healthier ones. Rethink your relationship with fun could be important. Creatively, you may feel less inspired, and maybe I would urge you to find sources of inspiration that have made you happy when you were a kid, because 5th house represents children. So perhaps if you feel uninspired, look back. On the other hand, you can actually maybe feel more inspired if you are reconnecting with your true goals and getting more clear about what you want. Just remember to play, remember to have fun, right? And similarly to Virgo risings, because 5th house deals with romance, you may need to address some past challenges, look at your relationships in a more objective way, have some honest conversations, and look at your partner through honest lens versus rose-colored glasses. And the last thing I'm going to mention here is 5th house rules children. So ideals or beliefs around the topics of children will need to be addressed. So if you and your partner are not on the same page at all, and you've been having this fight about kids, and they're sure that they want a child and you're sure you don't, maybe this is the time when you get honest and get real and move forward from that, versus trying to believe that they will change or them thinking you will change. So that could be another manifestation of this. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Neptune goes retrograde in your 4th house, potentially making you deal with family karma, right? 4th house is home, family, living situation, your sense of comfort and security. And if you've been over idealizing something, if you closed your eyes on too many issues in the family, allowed your family to take advantage of you somehow, this could be your opportunity to build stronger boundaries and to say no to some things, because you are starting to understand better what you want to keep in your life and what you want to let go. Looking back at your childhood, looking back at the origins of your life, where you come from, and people who have hurt you and traumatized you could be the theme of this transit, where maybe you are releasing some of the past or setting childhood wounds free. Moving back, changing your living situation is a possibility here. And maybe kind of finding people, because 4th house rules a sense of comfort and security. Maybe you are rediscovering what family means to you and coming to appreciate people in your life who are not biological family, but perhaps an adopted family. And let me know, how has Neptune retrograde back in 2022 between June and December affected your home, family, and living situation? Have you healed somehow? Have you processed any pain? Have you moved or made changes to your home last year? Let me know down there. If you are a Capricorn rising, Neptune will go retrograde in your 3rd house. 3rd house represents siblings, neighbors, community, communication, writing, schedules. There's a lot of things, but mainly it's your everyday life. It's the things you do and the things on your to-do list, right? The things, if you could like add people there, if you could use the technology that helps you accomplish things on your to-do list, that is what 3rd house is. And when Neptune goes retrograde here, some of the pursuits, some of the interests, and maybe projects you've been dedicating yourself to can feel less interesting, calling you to either redo them, right? Maybe rewrite them, or look for the forgotten, new but old sources of inspiration that you have once found exciting. It could be the time when some of your communication, some of your exchanges with people feel in need of raw truth and honesty. So you are examining how you communicate with other people. You're being more clear about what you want. You're kind of starting to understand what kind of unhealthy communication tendencies you do have, where maybe you forgive people for, maybe people owe you money and you don't want to remind them because you don't want to sabotage your relationship. So Neptune retrograde in the 3rd house can definitely be important in terms of addressing those topics, as well as, expressing yourself, feeling heard, feeling understood, and implementing changes into your communication that can help you feel heard and understood. If you are an Aqua rising, Neptune will go retrograde in your 2nd house, making you examine topics of money and values. And so here you're looking at your relationship to money, but most importantly, your relationship with yourself. Because any issues you're having with finances, with Saturn being in your 2nd house, with Neptune being in your 2nd house, they're likely stemming from the inner belief or the core kind of self-doubt, or even the tendency to expect a lot, right? Sometimes we feel dissatisfied with our finances, not because we don't have any, but because we feel like we should have so much. So Neptune retrograding in the 2nd house is a really great time to break free from any illusions or any delusions connected to money, maybe a sense that like money will buy you happiness, and instead try to look within and try to be the best version of yourself and focus on choosing happiness versus waiting to have money to buy happiness. It could also be the period where you're starting to understand that the way you make money is not enjoyable, because you'd rather do something spiritual and something creative versus have a day job potentially. So changes to your finances connected to that are possible. And any adjustments, sometimes Neptune going retrograde here could mean spending money you have made on something important to you. But I would encourage you to use this period to focus on spiritual or creative or more authentically yours money making, and maybe start a gratitude journal or start some kind of practice where you appreciate the resources you already have. And let me know how has Neptune retrograde last year between June and December affected your finances or your sense of self-worth. Yeah, so Neptune retrograde in 2022. And now Pisces rising. Neptune will be retrograding in your first house. First house is you, your physical body, your personality, your hair color, very much the way you dawn on people, the way you show up in the world. And Neptune going retrograde here will be the time of looking at yourself honestly, right? Are you living under a pretense, or are you dreaming too much? Are you not grounded? Are you leaving the dream, or like, you know, living in the past where you're too kind of stuck on people hurting you? Or you're living in the future where every day all you're thinking about is like when you have the money, or when you buy the house, or when you'll be in a relationship? Are you present? And if you are living in the future or in the past, it might be the time to work on being more present. Start meditating, start exercising, start taking care of your body in a different way. Focusing on your body, focusing on your needs could be very important here. And like I said, getting more clear about any bad habits. If you are living in the present, or even if you're dreaming about something, what is blocking you from getting there? What is standing in your way, and how can you let go of, maybe you watch TV a bit much and you don't have time to look for jobs, right? Maybe you're struggling with a health issue, and instead of addressing it, you are just postponing it and saying tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. So look at how you are working on yourself, look at what needs improvement, and say goodbye to negative habits and start step by step. Do small things. Start by meditating 5 minutes, few times a week. Start by eating a few apples a few times a week. So kind of, you know, like accept yourself for who you are, but see yourself as a person who can be better, right? And actually start taking steps towards that. So this is it. It's interesting to look at Neptune retrograde. It's interesting to reflect on the previous year to see how it has already affected us. Of course, like I said, if you have planets in the, what did I say, 24 to 28 degrees Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sag, it will be more important to you. But I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I'll talk to you very soon. I'll see you in the next video.